major seaport in one of Asia's poorest countries, Bangladesh. This is a major seaport of the Republic and one of the dirtiest places on the planet. Pools of motor oil mix with water, lead waste spreads over the sandstone, and iron fragments spread for kilometers along the seaside, making the world's largest ship graveyard. This is where metal dishes find their final resting place too. The question of how to reuse discarded ships came up shortly after the boost of metal shipbuilding in the 1950s. Expensive insurance and strict environmental requirements in developed European countries, where ships were actually built, made ship scrapping unprofitable. Things changed after a severe storm caused a Greek vessel to be shipwrecked in Chittagong. It was irreparable and was scrapped by locals. With the lack of environmental standard controls by the local government and cheap work resources, this fishing port turned into a true ship cemetery in just a few short years, spreading for more than 20 kilometers along the coast. Today, 180 to 250 discarded ships are scrapped in Chittagong every year. About 80,000 people, 10,000 of whom are aged between 10 to 14 years old, are engaged in scrapping, and 300,000 more work in related sectors. A worker's salary is just $3 a day, with a 6-day per week and 12 hours per day work schedule. This scrapping is all done manually, while dismantling the ship's bulkhead spreads motor oil onto the shore, creating lead waste. This means that the maximum allowable lead concentration is exceeded here by 320 times. There is a constant breaking of safety rules that results in frequent worker fatalities, and 300 to 400 men become disabled due to this every year. The desert in Arizona holds many secrets, including a straight row graveyard of abandoned planes in the middle of cactuses. This makes it the world's largest airplane graveyard today. Previously, it was the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base for the U.S. Air Forces. Founded in 1925, it was enlarged in 1940 to train bomber aircraft crews. After World War II, the place was chosen to be an airport cemetery due to its dry climate and hard soil, which allowed aircrafts to be stored on uncoated sites. Today, more than 4,400 discarded planes are conserved here, which includes out-of-service American B-52 bombers that can carry nuclear weapons and 40 non-repairable space shuttles. The total value of everything on the site exceeds $35 billion. The number of new planes coming to the graveyard every year is almost equal to outgoing planes sold to friendly countries. According to official figures, for each dollar spent for the maintenance of this aircraft cemetery, the base makes $11 from the sale of restored planes. This makes you wonder, who's buying these relics? By the way, this was the location for the sensational Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen film. In a forest in Châtillon, South Belgium, a car cemetery has recently been discovered with ex-luxurious Mercs, Opels, and BMW cars that have been covered in moss, rust, and mold for several decades. The commonly held legend says that these retro cars used to be owned by American soldiers stationed here during World War II. When they returned home, they found out they wouldn't be recompensed for transporting these cars. Because of red tape and high customs tariffs, not one car was returned to the US. These vehicles all corroded in the thick forest, hidden from view. Today, what hasn't been destroyed by corrosion was taken away by locals or collectors, and the landscape looks like a post-apocalyptic scene. If you like German cars and don't care about the environment, you may be upset by this video. More than 400,000 new diesel cars left behind a semi-lost stadium, Silverdome in Michigan, are very likely to be utilized. Volkswagen found itself at the center of an environmental scandal in September 2015, when it was revealed that Volkswagen and Audi cars with 2-liter diesel engines were equipped with software that understated the amount of harmful exhaust gases by 10 times during testing. The company admitted this falsehood while selling cars to the US and bought dirty cars back from their owners. Naturally, the question of where to store these 475,000 cars emerged until the final decision of their destiny was made. The concern then found large lost sites in the US, 3 of which have become commonly known: a stadium, an ex-military base in California, and an idling port in Baltimore, where thousands of new diesel cars were dumped. Just 3 kilometers away from the famous Salar de Uyuni salt plains in Bolivia, a ghost town of grand cast-iron locomotives have been rediscovered in salt pans. A graveyard in the open air maintained tumble-down and rusty legendary railway specimens, many of which are more than 100 years old. Railway tracks were built here as far back as 19th century, and Salar de Uyuni was believed to be a promising regional center and powerful transport node. However, the ambitious plans of the government failed when local Aymara Indians found the railway construction to be an invasion of their lands and protested.
We have to stop the train! No time! Must we jump?
Another more serious problem became known. The railway was used only by mining companies to transport ore, which was being depleted quickly, leaving nothing to be transported, so the railway went into decline. Salar de Uyuni became empty, and a train cemetery formed on the area of the salt desert. The lost carriages and locomotives slowly corroded due to a highly dry climate, making this the sole reminder of the glorious past of this small town. In Wisconsin, US, not far from the Lake of the Devil, there is a park where green trees coexist with tons of rusty metal combined in strange sculptures. A fantastic structure built of old cars, discarded electrical equipment, and other waste accumulated for several decades, and is known as Dr. Evermore's Art Park. In his childhood, Tom Every was living in an unreal world created by his imagination, where his inventive Dr. Evermore was sick of the planet and left on a self-made spaceship. When he grew up, he turned his passion for mechanical parts and devices into a profession and opened an industrial equipment dismantling and processing company. Since many discarded devices were passing through his hands, Tom started collecting whatever attracted his attention. He carefully gathered scrap metal for years on a number of specially bought land plots. When he decided to bring his childhood dreams to life, the contents of his graveyards weighed hundreds of tons. In the center of the Evermore's Art Park, there is an anti-gravity spaceship called Forevertron, which is the very spaceship on which the imaginary hero traveled into an unknown galaxy. The structure is so bulky that it has been included in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's largest metal structure. Its total weight is 320 tons, and it's 15 meters high and 50 meters wide. This is his most valuable waste collection exhibit, and includes the decontamination chamber from the Apollo 11 spacecraft and 2 Thomas Edison dynamos. Now the eccentric visionary is 80 years old, but even in a wheelchair, the tireless dreamer still dreams up new inhabitants for his imaginary world and turns the metal scrap into works of art. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.